So one of the things that I've talked about with the Nintendo Switch 2 that we haven't quite seen right now is some of the support from Bandai Namco that people have been asking about when it comes to some of their big titles. And I have an idea with that because Bandai Namco actually does a lot of contracted work with outside studios to make games. And I'm pretty sure Nintendo did not want dev kits going out to some of those outside developers that Bandai Namco doesn't necessarily own overall. So I think that's the reason why we're getting some of these weird type of late games that should be coming to Nintendo Switch 2 that aren't yet, but I do think it's going to happen. One of the games that you guys ask about all the time is Digimon Story Time Stranger, and now we actually have information that the game is coming over to the Nintendo Switch 2 because there's some pretty big evidence that points to that. So we're going to discuss that. We're going to discuss some other stuff as well. Big sales for the Nintendo Switch 2 overall in Japan and how that's driving the base and how that's going to lead to more content as well. There's a lot of stuff to get into. So let's go ahead and jump right in with the new evidence that does suggest that, like I stated, Digimon Story Time Stranger 2, which is a big Digimon RPG from Bandai Namco, that is going to be coming to the Nintendo Switch 2 as well. So essentially, we have not gotten any announcements for that right now. This is not confirmed overall from Bandai Namco, just PC, Xbox Series, and PlayStation 5. But here's the thing, looks like there's going to be a port planned. A new listing has appeared in an EAN database that shows off a specific code for the Nintendo Switch 2 version of this game. Now, EANs are basically the North American equivalent of the UPC system. In EAN, which is European Article Number, lets retailers identify products when scanned at the point of sale. So that is really convincing evidence in terms of all of things here. So right now, Bandai Namco support, once again, with the Switch 2 is a bit slow. It's not off to a super great start or anything, but like I stated, I do think that it's because not all of their developers that they do work with were able to get a Nintendo Switch 2 development kit on time. Bandai Namco has a lot of contracted work, outside studios working on things. It's kind of weird in terms of how Bandai Namco operates as a big publisher. Lots of licensing deals overall. Dragon Ball Z, obviously they do a lot of anime stuff as well, Digimon. So it's a little bit weird in terms of how they operate overall, and I think that's what caused some of the issues on top of some of their games already being multiple years in development and the Switch 2 kind of throwing a wrench into the plans. So I do feel that all of these games eventually are going to be coming over, which we're going to talk about another one with the new My Hero game in just a bit. But yeah, I do think that Digimon Story, obviously the other Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth games, those games are on the Nintendo Switch 1 and did well. There's been other Digimon games on the Switch 1. There's been Dragon Ball Z. There's all sorts of stuff from Bandai Namco. So it's definitely coming in my opinion. Now, I'm not the biggest Digimon fan, so Digimon games don't get me super excited to go out there and play. But this game, Digimon Story Time Stranger, actually looks really, really good. So I'm hoping it does come over, but I'm guessing that it will, along with a lot of other Bandai Namco titles that are just a little bit slow to get off the foot when it comes down to it because of various different things with dev kits and kind of what we heard overall with the system. But it's all going to be happening. I expect a lot of announcements probably within this year and next year. I think 2026 is going to be a massive year for the Nintendo Switch 2 when it comes to third-party announcements, especially from Japanese developers as they get a hold of the system, in addition to getting their ports ready to go and potentially even brand new games built for the Nintendo Switch 2 in mind first and foremost. So definitely exciting there. But before we get into the next topic here, please make sure you hit that subscribe button if you have not subscribed. Hit that like button and click that notification bell to get my Nintendo Switch 2 news as soon as it drops, because we got videos daily. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next thing here. We're going to be talking about the big sales update for the Nintendo Switch 2. We got another round of the Famitsu sales, and things actually went up. The sales went up. Nintendo was able to supply more systems than the previous week. Also, Tamagotchi Plaza stops Death Stranding 2 right in its tracks. I know, crazy, right? So let's go ahead and get into this right here. So these sales are physical only. They don't count the digital sales on the eShop or PSN or anything like that. And it's for Japan, and the sales are from June 23rd, 2025 through June 29th, 2025. And let's talk about the Tamagotchi Plaza, because this game kind of came out of nowhere for me at least. But Mario Kart World still the top selling game overall. So Mario Kart World did another staggering 145,000 plus copies in Japan. Tamagotchi Plaza was the next game up, selling 102,000 units on the Nintendo Switch 1 and 26,000 units plus on the Nintendo Switch 2 for an opening week total of 128,000 plus units, which is just crazy. So Death Stranding 2 on a Beach, which that game actually sold about 180,000 units or so. I remember it selling 170 to 180,000 units in Japan physical when it launched on the PS4 back in 2019. That sold, with the sequel now, sold 71,974 units. So definitely a bit less there, but more people probably bought the game digital this time around than back in 2019. Now with the Nintendo Switch 2, when it comes to hardware, once again, the system actually went up in sales. Last week, the Switch 2 sold 140,000 units. This week, it sold 161,000 units. So once again, just kind of dominating. Nintendo's trying to pump out as many systems as they can. And I talked about this before, and I said that the Nintendo Switch 1 to the Switch 2 is going to be the smoothest transition, like the baton pass, hand off, the smoothest transition ever for a Nintendo system, because Nintendo actually has everything set up and time to get it done. They're not rushed because of sales declining so much, or they have to do this, or they have to launch before someone else. They can essentially just get everything that they need to get done, get their games lined up, and have a smooth transition, and that's exactly what's happening. Obviously, the Nintendo Switch 1 was by far the dominant leader in Japan, and then they smoothly transitioned over with Mario Kart World, with Donkey Kong coming up, to the next system. And now everyone's saying, okay, here's the next system, we're gonna buy that. And it's just great, because before in the past, there's always been some nonsense in terms of not launching with enough games, like the 3DS, or having a weird type of launch where there wasn't a big enough system seller, like the Wii U, or there's some type of scenario or problem or issue, usually within the last decade plus. And they finally said, hey, we're gonna make sure that we get everything right with the launch. And for the most part, it was pretty good, a pretty smooth transition over from Switch 1 to Switch 2 in Japan. And that's why you're seeing these elevated sales. Mario Kart is that stability, it's the foundation to where it's going to sell the system for the whole generation. And now you're starting to see other games come in. You have the full backwards compatibility, so someone can play all their Switch 1 games if they want to play them. It's just so much better than what it was, even compared to the Nintendo Switch 1, where they didn't have enough systems and there wasn't as much third-party support, and the lineup was coming, but we still had to wait a little bit for certain things. So I do think that they did a good job with that, all things considered. Now let's go ahead and jump into the next topic here, and that is a claim about third-party docks when it comes to the Nintendo Switch 2. So apparently some accessory manufacturers are claiming that the Nintendo Switch 2 has some type of encryption that breaks a third-party dock. So this is a report coming from The Verge, and apparently the Switch 2 has some type of new encryption scheme that has a form of dedicated encryption chip that has broken some third-party docks. The console, of course, comes with its own dock with the Nintendo Switch 2. We all know that. And of course, they sell extra docks. But The Verge points out that, quote, Nintendo has also broken compatibility with portable docks that you can take on vacation or to your hotel room with the video glasses like the X Real 1. Now, the site's report is based off of two accessory manufacturers' claim that the USB-C PD traffic was also analyzed with a Power Z tester. It's like a Dragon Ball Z thing. Is it like a scouter? No, I'm joking, guys. All right, let's continue on here. Which shows that the Nintendo Switch 2 isn't acting the way it should. Attempting to use the console with a third-party dock or hub may refuse to negotiate power to bring about other issues. Switch 2 seems to talk in code that only Nintendo can decipher, whereas USB-C devices tend to operate on a standardized set of instructions. All this has led to the dearth of third-party docks for Nintendo Switch 2. Other companies which were planning one for the system have now paused its plans. One dock that does work, at least for now, is the Antake S3 Max, or the SIWIQU TV dock station, since it appears to speak the same type of language that Nintendo's USB-C or power dock speaks as well. Now, Xreal actually intends to come out with a new Neo device later this year for docking. Other companies believe Nintendo could come out with the firmware updates that could further impact third-party docks, though Antake says it could distribute firmware updates for its own docks. So yeah, there's definitely some maybe proprietary language going on there. Some docks are working, some docks are not. So I would say buyers beware on this one. Third-party docks were always a risky proposition, even with the Nintendo Switch 1. Some of them were reported to fry your Nintendo Switch or have some problems in terms of getting the picture on the TV just because it's a third-party dock. Some of them may be unauthorized as well. So that's what I would say is I'd be careful. I would probably just use the official Nintendo Switch 2 dock, but I get it for having a portable dock that's easier to move, like when you're traveling somewhere else and all of that. So I completely understand that, but I remember having some issues with the third-party dock that I had, and I just said, you know what? I'm done. If I'm going to travel, I'll just take my Nintendo Switch 2 dock with me. I'll just take it, or I just won't play docked on a TV or anything like that, just because there could be some issues overall with these third-party docks like we saw with the Nintendo Switch 1. So just be careful, guys. I would say wait overall. Do not get third-party docks right now at this point, and kind of wait to see how the landscape shapes out before you decide to invest into that. But let's go ahead and invest into some Donkey Kong right now, because we got a brand new overview trailer in English for Donkey Kong Bonanza. We've had info overload for this game. I mean, we really don't need to go over too much, but I wanted to let you guys know there is a little bit of new footage in the Donkey Kong Bonanza overview trailer. It's been released in Japanese and in English, and once again, the game looks incredible. Now this, I'm not sure if it's more of a final build of the game or not, but it's looking super smooth, it's looking super fun, and it's looking like it needs to be played right away. And the good news is Donkey Kong Bonanza comes out in 2 weeks. This is so exciting to have another major game coming out, big first-party title. Donkey Kong is coming back, being developed by the Super Mario Odyssey team. Brand new 3D platformer / action game where Donkey Kong performs like Donkey Kong is supposed to. A big, strong ape that can pick up and break objects and smash things, in addition to having the finesse and do other things as well, like solving different types of puzzles and blasting in barrels and 2D levels. It's everything that you would want to happen for a Donkey Kong game, but on Nintendo's modern hardware, and I think that this game is going to be a blast. There's been some talk on Twitter, and there's been some talk in terms of what people are thinking this game is going to review. A Game of the Year candidate, it's the Super Mario Odyssey team. Their last game that we know of, that was a 97 on Metacritic with Super Mario Odyssey. Now, I don't know if it's going to be that high. I don't think so. Not going to get to the 97 range, but some people were even predicting like a 94. Stealth was like, hey, look, I think it could be a 94 Metacritic, which that would be awesome, and that would definitely put it in the Game of the Year conversation. I think because it is the Super Mario Odyssey team, because it does have a lot going for it, and if they can kind of just smooth out a little bit of those performance issues that were in the original demo and everything, I still feel that the game can have a 90 plus Metacritic, and that would be the best reviewing Donkey Kong game since Donkey Kong 64. That has a 90. No other Donkey Kong game that's on the Metacritic rating scale has ever rated that high. They're all in the 80s or lower. What do you guys think overall with the new overview trailer in addition to the game itself? Let me know in the comment section below. But now we're going to move on to the final topic here, and that is going to be My Hero Academia All's Justice. That has been announced for the PS5, Xbox Series, and PC. This is the other game that I was talking about when it comes to Bandai Namco and kind of them being a little bit behind when it comes to some of their games with Nintendo Switch 2 as well. But let's talk about this because the My Hero games also came over to Nintendo Switch 1. But this was a new announcement, and it's an arena fighter, which some of you guys know, some of you guys don't know. I'm not the biggest on arena fighters, but the game actually looks really cool. Like, it looks like it's going to be a very fun game overall for My Hero fans to play in this final arc. And this is what I was talking about, because Bandai Namco, they're the publisher, but the developer is Viking. I'm not sure where they are or anything like that. But let's get into exactly what this game is about. So, smash through My Hero Academia's final story arc and triumph over your foes in a spectacular 3 versus 3 battles. Follow Deku and the journeys of other characters in the final war between heroes and villains, and experienced world-shaking climactic clash between One for All and All for One in My Hero Academia All's Justice. My Hero Academia All's Justice is the super-powered 3D arena fighter where your favorite characters from the My Hero Academia franchise appear in their latest and most powerful forms, framed within a refined battle system that showcases their quirks to their limits. This is the final arc. Experience the final season of My Hero Academia from the new perspective in the My Hero Academia All's Justice story mode. Take control of the clashes between hero and villains and immerse yourself in the story's ultimate clash in a cinematic experience only achievable through My Hero Academia's All's Justice. Giant sized roster as well. Heroes and villains collide in this gigantic roster of My Hero Academia characters. Play your favorite UA students, pro heroes, and villains from across the story of My Hero Academia, including their final and full powered versions. Unleash your quirks. Take control of your favorite UA students, pro heroes, and villains, and utilize their unique quirks to pummel, blast, and trick your foes. Unleash the full suite of new battle features to emerge victorious on the battlefield. Express all the power of your character in new and never before seen ways. So yeah, you guys are checking out the trailer here, and once again, yeah, the game looks really good. Obviously a big step above graphically that we saw from the My Hero One's Justice games. There were 2 of them across the Switch, Xbox, and PlayStation, and I did play the first game. I think I did play a little bit of the second game, and yeah, it's like a really kind of just arcadey type arena fighter. It's not like it's a bad thing. I'm not going to sit there and say that this game's going to be terrible or anything, but they are talking about doing some refinements to the battle system and really kind of having that polish maybe that wasn't there in the My Hero One's Justice games. But this is technically the 3rd game in that series, so maybe they've actually learned a few things or two, because yeah, I didn't necessarily have a ton of fun with the original My Hero One's Justice games. They were okay, but I'm hoping that this one's going to be a lot better. So what do you guys think overall about all the different games and topics that we went over here? Let me know in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're someone new, click that notification bell, and check out my other Nintendo Switch 2 RPG news and more right here on screen. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you guys for the next one. Peace.